watching the Ruslan Belov channel, and today we'll discuss the situation in Ukraine as of May 29, 2025. A lot has happened today, so let's get started. Before we begin, I would like to sincerely ask you to subscribe to the channel. Your subscription helps the channel grow. Many thanks to everyone who has already subscribed. Today, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation, as well as certain Telegram channels affiliated with the Ministry of Defense, including the Sever, North Troop Grouping, are reporting further advances by Russian forces deeper into Sumy oblast. According to some sources, fighting is currently taking place on the outskirts of the settlement of Kondratovka. Russian units have also reached the outskirts of the village of Alexievka. Some reports indicate that combat is now even reaching the settlement of Novomikhailovka. According to the Sever group, fighting is progressing steadily in the village of Inakievka, specifically in its central part. So if we summarize, there is an offensive taking place along a wide front line. Moreover, this information is confirmed not only by individual Telegram channels and analysts, but also by pro-Ukrainian cartographic services. Today, they have added a large grey zone to their maps in the Sumy direction, indicating approximate areas and directions where the Russian army is currently operating. Looking at this grey zone, again according to pro-Ukrainian cartographers, fighting is underway near Alexievka, Novonikolaevka, Vladimirovka, and Kondratovka. Furthermore, the Russian army has begun to gradually advance deeper into Sumy oblast from the direction of Demidovka. Today, the main battles are taking place near the settlement of Miropolskaya. Russian forces are clearing out forest belts. Additionally, the Russian army is advancing from the village of Gornal toward Miropolye. So we're clearly seeing an offensive here. The Russian army is using a large number of troops and equipment. According to Western experts, at least 50,000 Russian soldiers are currently concentrated in this direction. Next, we move to the northeastern part of Kharkiv Oblast, where, just a few days ago, the Russian army also launched a large-scale offensive. The most significant event today comes from the village of Strivka. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported in its latest briefing that the village of Strivka has come under the full and firm control of the Russian armed forces. Shortly afterward, Russian sources published footage showing airstrikes, artillery strikes, and FPV drone attacks on Ukrainian personnel and equipment dispersed throughout Strevka. In the final seconds of the footage, we can see a Russian soldier raising a flag on one of the village's buildings. That building was geolocated, confirming the exact spot where the Russian flag was raised. Based on this objective control footage and the official MOD report, we are marking this area as under Russian control and coloring Strevka in favor of the Russian Federation. Some sources and pro-Russian analysts note that the Russian army didn't stop there and continued pushing westward toward the settlement of Dvorichenskaya. Although the village itself is still far off, numerous forested areas lie ahead of the Russian army, and combat has already begun beyond the first forest belt. Today, we're receiving information about the beginning of an assault on the Chernetsky forest. If we summarize all the reports coming from this sector, Russian units are already operating approximately within, or rather east of, the Red Line and are advancing further west. The final target here is the settlement of Dvorichenskaya. This isn't the ultimate goal of the entire offensive, but at least of its first phase. Control over Dvorichenskaya would allow the Russian army to bypass key Ukrainian defensive lines situated further inside the region and improve their logistics, enabling further advances toward the Pechenihy Reservoir and the town of Volchansk. Next, we move to the southern Kupiansk or Lyman direction. Here, the pace of the Russian advance has slightly slowed down. There are some minor adjustments. Russian forces are gradually advancing toward Grekovka, Novy Mir, and Olgovka. There is objective control footage confirming another advance and control over a small forest belt in this area. Based on this footage, we mark a small position as taken by Russian forces. Additionally, several geolocations have appeared confirming the presence of Russian troops in the eastern part of the settlement of Redkadub. I'd remind you that most mappers have already marked at least 50% of this area in favor of the Russian Federation, but only today have the first pieces of objective evidence confirming the Russian presence been published. Next, we move toward the settlement of Torskoye. Important footage has appeared showing farms in the northern part of the village. It's worth noting that Torskoy has been a subject of debate among those who closely follow the special military operation, especially regarding its status. Today, objective control footage appeared, confirming firm control over the farms in this village. Based on this footage, we're not making any new adjustments. We're simply confirming that apparently most of the settlement of Torskoye has now come under the control of the Russian armed forces. Today, the Russian army also continued moving toward the village of Zarashnaya. At the moment, Russian units are highly focused on detecting and destroying FPV drone operator positions of the Ukrainian armed forces. In the near future, we may see the first attempts to cross the Zherebets River, which would mark a full-scale advance toward the town of Lyman. On the Siversk front, there has been a slight adjustment in the area of the settlement of Grigorovka. Today, Ukrainian sources published objective control footage of a short-range firefight. At that location, one Russian soldier was taken prisoner as a result of the battle. Based on this footage, we mark the central part of Grigorovka as under Russian control. Footage from objective control continues to come in, showing strikes on positions of the Ukrainian armed forces and their temporary deployment points. No further advances by Russian units have been recorded in this section of the front. Next, we move on to the Konstantinovka direction, where the most interesting developments are taking place. Let's start with the town of Chasiv Yar. Today, the majority of mappers and military analysts unanimously reported that the Russian army has broken through Ukrainian defenses in the central and southern parts of the town and has begun gradually advancing toward the western outskirts. Cartographers have begun making map updates. Some are marking entire residential areas as under the control of the Russian armed forces, though no objective control footage has yet been published. Summing up all the reports from the past 24 hours, everything to the east and south of the Red Line is now reportedly under Russian control. If this information is confirmed, it would mean that the battle for Chasiv Yar is nearing its conclusion. Next, we move to the Klybanivka pocket. The most significant news today comes from the village of Hnativka. Footage from objective control has been published showing Russian soldiers raising the Russian flag in the central or southern part of the village. Based on this footage and a report from the Russian Ministry of Defense, which also declared Hnativka under Russian control, the southern part of the Klybanivka area is now considered fully under Russian forces. Just yesterday, the map looked different. Recall that the Russian Ministry of Defense reported the clearing of Stara Mykolaiivka the day before yesterday, and today we received reports of Hnativka being cleared as well. According to some cartographers, Russian forces have also advanced into the village of Zarya. Currently, various sources suggest that the Ukrainian armed forces control only about 20% of the village, while 80% is firmly under Russian control. The Ukrainian side maintains control only over a few farms, apparently in the northeasternmost section of the village, and the very northern part of Zarya itself. These areas serve as the remaining holdouts, allowing Ukrainian forces to support the narrow corridor for withdrawal to the north toward the villages of Oleksandr Kalinove and Yablunivka. Next, we move to the H-32 highway, where a large number of significant developments have also occurred. At the moment, the Russian army is rapidly advancing northwest, aiming to outflank the town of Pokrovsk from the northeast. Today, the Russian Ministry of Defense announced that, in addition to gaining control of Hnativka and areas in northeastern Kharkiv oblast, Russian units have also taken control of the village of Shevchenko-Pershe. This is a small village located between northern Malinivka and western Nova Poltavka. Based on the ministry's report, cartographers are updating their maps accordingly, although as of the evening of May 29th, no objective control footage has yet been released to confirm this information. There are also reports of the village of Mern being cleared. This suggests that Russian forces are gradually approaching the village of Novoye Ekonomichne. It appears that they will not storm the settlement head-on, but instead advance further toward the villages of Koptivka and then Novotoretske. Fire control and FPV drone coverage have already been established over key supply routes. From the available control footage, it appears that both Shevchenko-Pershe and Koptivka are already cut off from logistical support, and battles are reportedly beginning west of Koptivka. Russian units have also passed through the village of Popiv Yar, although the Ministry of Defense has not yet issued an official report regarding this settlement. It is likely that a statement about the clearing of this area may come tomorrow or the day after. According to some cartographers, intense clashes are currently taking place for the village of Poltavka. It is possible that this settlement will soon fall under Russian control as well. Information is also coming in about a gradual Russian advance toward the village of Sumy Yar. According to various map updates and sources, Russian forces have halted at the anti-tank ditch. They have not crossed this barrier yet, so Sumy Yar remains under firm Ukrainian control. Once Poltavka is cleared, combat operations may begin for this small village as well. More footage continues to emerge, showing strikes on drones and major roads connecting the Pokrovsk agglomeration with the Slovyansk-Kramatorsk urban area. This area of the front regularly produces combat footage, and Ukrainian forces are reportedly suffering heavy losses. On the southern Donetsk front, there are no major changes today. However, sources close to the ground report that Russian forces have begun gradually advancing northward from the village of Otradne toward the settlement of Novoukrainka. According to some reliable sources, several dams located north of Otradne have come under Russian control. These are likely the dams located in this area. This control allows Russian forces to minimize counterattacks from Ukrainian positions in Novoukrainka and Zeleny High toward the settlement of Bohatyr. It's worth noting that some pro-Ukrainian cartographers and analysts claim that 40 to 50% of Bohatyr is still under Ukrainian control, particularly the northern and northwestern parts. Currently, if this information is accurate, the Russian side is trying to flank this direction and reach Novoukrainka, with the objective of encircling and trapping the village of Alexievka. In the Gulyaipole direction, pro-Ukrainian cartographers confirm that the Russian army has fully cleared the village of Zelenoy Pole. There are also reports of Russian forces expanding their control further west. Fighting is ongoing for the village of Novopil. It is likely that the Russian Ministry of Defense will soon confirm control over this village as well, after which the fighting will likely shift further west toward the village of Timirivka. And that's all for now, dear friends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your likes, and all the best to you.